The Jujutsu Kaisen manga ended in late 2024, concluding the battle against Sukuna and closing the culling game. And here's the big question. How did Yuji end the one and only Sukuna? Well, Yuji's role in defeating Sukuna, with a prominent discussion arguing that Yuji couldn't defeat him single-handedly. I see people complaining that Yuji should have been able to finish off Sukuna on his own, or that Megumi waking up and Nobara hitting resonance invalidates Yuji's victory and means he's weak. I can really see that a lot of people are in doubt, and I do think this is something that we should discuss. But first, to properly evaluate just how strong Yuji really is, let's first break down his physical capabilities. So, we all know that Yuji truly excels in this area. This includes his raw physical strength, speed, reflexes, durability, and of course stamina, which allows him to last long in battle. On top of that, Yuji's basically a beast when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. He is easily one of the best martial artists in Jujutsu Kaisen, right up there with Aoi Todo. The dude can smack around semi-grade 1 curses without breaking a sweat, and even hold his own against special grades just by mixing his martial arts with cursed energy. What makes Yuji crazy good is how precise he is. He can literally stop a punch right before landing it, then twist it into a chain of counterattacks. His whole fighting style is super acrobatic, lots of flips, fast footwork, and unpredictable angles, so he can attack while dodging at the same time. If his first strike gets blocked, he'll follow up with a flying kick, a sneaky punch, or even a knee straight to the gut. On top of that, Yuji knows Taito martial arts, which gives him some wild techniques. One of them is called knee release, where he basically removes all extra movements in his body and uses his knees, hips, and shoulders to instantly pivot and close in. It's like cutting out the warm-up and going straight for the hit. And then there's the manji kick. Yuji throws his right leg upward and cracks his opponent in the head. Add cursed energy to that move, and it's strong enough to wreck cursed spirits. To add up, he's practically a natural genius, since he even learned how to control cursed energy in the middle of a fight. One of his most notable achievements was activating Black Flash the very same day he learned how to properly manipulate cursed energy. As we can see, Yuji's growth in such a short amount of time is insane. And as a bonus, Yuji is also good at wielding weapons or cursed tools. Overall, Yuji was gifted with superhuman physical abilities, which he masterfully combines with his cursed energy. Just so you know, even the GOAT acknowledged Yuji. He is one of Tokyo Jujutsu High's most powerful and talented students. Satoru Gojo places him on the same level of potential as Yuta and Kinji, the 3 students who he believes will surpass his strength. Now that we've explained Yuji's raw physical strength, let's move on to his cursed energy attacks and abilities. First up, we've got the Divergent Fist. This move wasn't some genius invention, it was actually born out of Yuji's bad habit. When he first started fighting, his punches would land before his cursed energy caught up, creating this weird lag effect. But instead of being useless, that little delay actually made his hits stronger because it felt like his opponent got smacked twice, once by the fist, then again by the cursed energy impact. At first, Yuji dropped the technique after he learned proper cursed energy control, but later, during his battle with Mahito, he realized just how handy it actually was. Not only did it mess with Mahito, but Yuji also pulled it out when clashing with Sukuna. The best part? He often used Divergent Fist as a setup, tricking his opponent, then immediately chained it into a Black Flash. And that leads us to Yuji's real flex move, the Black Flash. This is one of the hardest techniques in the whole series. Most sorcerers consider it pure luck if they manage to land even one. But for Yuji, it almost looks easy. He's the only sorcerer shown to pull off a Black Flash with full, maxed out cursed energy output. On top of that, he's the only one who gives off the vibe that he can trigger it whenever he wants, which is unheard of in the Jujutsu world. Then there are the records. Nanami originally held the record with 4 consecutive Black Flashes in a row. Yuji shattered that number, he pulled off 7 back-to-back Black Flashes against Sukuna. Absolute insanity. And overall, he holds the highest Black Flash count too, with 18 total, 5 against Hanami, 1 on the 2 death paintings, 3 against Mahito, and those legendary 9 against Sukuna. That run not only broke Nanami's streak, but also solidified Yuji as the king of Black Flash. With that ability, plus his blessing known as the Sparks of Black, Yuji stands out as a completely unique sorcerer, someone who can go toe-to-toe with the strongest out there. Now let's move on to Yuji's reverse curse technique. Yup, our boy can actually use reverse curse technique, which is already a super rare skill on its own. We saw him demonstrate it when he tanked Sukuna's attacks, not just one, but multiple. 2 cleaves, some dismantles, and even the dreaded world cutting slash. Thanks to reverse curse technique, Yuji's survivability in battle has skyrocketed. But here's what makes him even more unique. Only Yuji and Sukuna can heal their souls using a special type of reverse curse technique. Why? Because back when they were sharing the same body, both of them learned how to perceive the exact shape of their souls, which is the requirement for pulling off soul healing. The thing is, Yuji hasn't fully applied this ability yet. Now let's talk about Yuji's curse techniques, because yes, he's got 2 of them. First is blood manipulation, which he inherited after consuming the 6 death paintings. This ability makes him more efficient with cursed energy, especially when activating reverse curse technique, since he can heal injuries while simultaneously using his blood to reinforce himself. Remember when Yuji reattached his severed leg? That was thanks to blood manipulation. On top of that, Yuji can explode his blood outward or release it as piercing blood. He's still not great at using convergence, the technique that compresses blood for moves like piercing blood or supernova. In fact, he even needed Choso's help just to pull off piercing blood properly. His second cursed technique comes from Sukuna, the Shrine. This got engraved into Yuji's body, but so far, he's only unlocked its default slashing ability, Dismantle. Now, Yuji's version is a little different from Sukuna's. While Sukuna can slice from a distance, Yuji needs physical contact with his target. When he uses Dismantle, scissor-like cutting lines appear before the slash takes effect. What's really crazy is how Yuji uses this with a binding vow. He can actually apply Dismantle to the boundaries between 2 souls, separating them if they're sharing a body. This makes it especially effective against incarnated sorcerers. The wild part? When Yuji lands Dismantle, you won't see any wounds on the physical body, since it directly targets the soul boundaries inside. For now, that's the limit of what he can do with the Shrine technique. Yuji learns and uses the new shadow style, Simple Domain. This occurred during the final battle against Sukuna in chapter 258. Yuji learned the technique through a body-swapping training method coordinated by Yui. He swapped souls with Atsuya Kusakabe, a master of the new shadow style, and learned to use Simple Domain. During his fight against Sukuna, Yuji activated the new shadow style, Simple Domain, in response to Sukuna's Malevolent Shrine. His Simple Domain allowed him to resist the effects of Malevolent Shrine for almost 99 seconds. Although Yuji's Simple Domain eventually crumbled, it successfully bought him enough time to survive a deadly encounter with Sukuna's domain. Alright, now let's discuss the controversial topic, Yuji's so-called soul punches. Some fans say his punches directly damage souls, but let's break it down. Against Mahito, Yuji's blows worked because Sukuna resides inside his body. This connection lets Yuji perceive the shape of Mahito's soul. That meant no matter how much Mahito tried to reshape himself, Yuji could still hit him right at the core. But when it comes to Sukuna, things are different. Yuji isn't actually damaging Sukuna's soul directly. What he's hitting are the boundaries between Sukuna's soul and Megumi's. If Yuji really had the ability to straight up strike Sukuna's soul, he would have already killed him, especially during the barrage of black flashes. But we never saw that happen. This also explains why Yuji's attacks don't have the same soul-ripping effect as Maki's split soul katana, which the narrator confirmed can actually wound the soul itself. With Yuji, Sukuna struggles, sure, but only because Yuji is targeting those soul boundaries, not the soul itself. That's why Sukuna could still heal, unlike when he's cut by Maki's sword. So yeah, Yuji's punches aren't full-on soul crushers just yet. If he could hit the soul directly, Sukuna would have been done a long time ago, and the whole body-hopping strategy wouldn't even be necessary. Still, who knows? Maybe in the future, Yuji will evolve to that point, but for now, his ability sits at attacking the soul boundaries, not the soul itself. Now, let's move on to Yuji's barrier techniques. Yuji can use a simple domain, which is already a solid defensive tool against enemy domain expansions. But he also has his own domain expansion, though it doesn't have an official name yet. His domain is massive in size and comes with a huge barrier. The inside looks calm and serene, but Yuji can actually shift its appearance, as seen when he trapped Sukuna. The craziest part is the domain's sure hit effect. Unlike most domains where the effect activates instantly, Yuji can control when his sure hit activates. For example, even after Sukuna activated the hollow wicker basket, a domain counter, Yuji's sure hit didn't land right away, it triggered later. The effect itself is called Soul Dismantle, which once again targets the boundaries of an incarnated sorcerer's soul. We saw this in action when it hit Sukuna right after Nobara's resonance also struck. So yeah, Yuji's domain expansion is still underexplored, but what we've seen is insane. That pretty much covers Yuji's arsenal, from physical skills to his power-ups, curse techniques, and barrier domain abilities. And honestly, Awakened Yuji is a monster. Keep in mind, he hasn't even mastered blood manipulation yet, and his shrine technique is still at a pretty low output. His reverse curse technique still needs polishing, and his domain expansion has only been used once and doesn't even have a name yet. But even with all that, Yuji is already fighting on a level where he can take down special grade curses. So, a lot of people are hung up on this idea that Yuji should have soloed Sukuna because he's the MC, and if he didn't, it somehow makes him weak or less important. But that mindset completely misses both Yuji's role in the final fight, and what Jujutsu Kaisen has been trying to say since day one. I get where people are coming from. Yuji's the protagonist, Sukuna's the final boss, so naturally people expect a classic shonen formula where the MC pulls out a miracle and stomps the villain 1v1. The problem is, JJK is not written like a traditional shonen hero versus villain showdown. Gege's story has always been about tearing down the idea that solo strength equals true strength. Yuji didn't solo Sukuna, and that's not a flaw. That's the point. Yuji's importance didn't vanish just because Megumi and Nobara contributed. If anything, their involvement highlights Yuji's role as the core of the new generation. This shows exactly why he's the MC. He's the one who ties his friends together and pushes them forward. He isn't just strong physically, he's the glue that makes this victory even possible.